All right, welcome to take two of the lunchtime video. My laptop happened to be unplugged and it's older, so I get at most like a half an hour of battery power, so it's just tanked on me. So, but the good news is I was kind of getting off on a tangent anyways, so nothing too fascinating I think was lost. I was just looking into how IPv6 has increased and trying to use that as a way to determine whether or not it's a good idea to, like, how much of that I need to study on the test. So you can see it's definitely spiking quite a bit, even in so Aaron is so these are all regional. This one is the one I like the naming of this one the best, Afrinic, because you can tell it's the African continent is what the geographical location that this entity is responsible for. So I really like that one. But AR is, that's, I don't like that one. Yeah, I don't like any of these because they don't tell you. So let's take a look at which one is the African one. Okay, so that's going to be dark green. But unfortunately, the one with the best name is the one with the slowest rate of IPv6 adaption. So it's more than just a name. But you can see, so Aaron is the one where I'm at. I'm in the United States. So let's look at, yep, so this is the American Registry for Internet Numbers. So just as I thought, we can see, yep, it's definitely growing in the United States. But in other countries, especially more Asian countries, so let's look up APNIC. So this is Asia Pacific. So yep, we can see the Asia, or the continent of Asia has the highest rate of adoption of IPv6. It looks like in second place, and not far off, we've got RIPE-NCC. So let's take a look at that. So this is for Europe. Okay. Yeah, so you can see very clearly IPv6 is good to learn. It's just, so in Europe, in Asia, that whole part of the world, it's really important to know IPv6 because there's a, let's see here, so there's over 250, probably even over 270 IPv6 allocations per month in Asia. In Europe, it's over 250. United States, it's less than 100. So if you're in the United States and you're going to do any work in Europe and Asia, it's important to know that. And then even so, I'm sure this is going to grow over time. It's just late to adopt to it. So once it just hits and it's just like, oh, what have you fools in the United States been doing? Not using the latest technology. You don't want to be the network engineer who's left struggling to pick up to what the rest of the world is doing. So let's so my making some more hibiscus tea. So I'm gonna pause and come back once that's off the stove. All right, and I'm back. So yeah, we can skip this. This is going to be about authentication for IGPs, but I think I will do it for IPv6 and IPv4 as well. So let me make my notes. Okay, and then I will copy over the video name and the tags and the divider bar, because I'm sure there'll be more than just one video. Okay, so this is authentication. So, and this is still configuration and troubleshooting, okay, which is a part of the IGP. So we're going to have to troubleshoot issues with communication. It's either not enabled, they have the wrong password, that sort of thing. So let's do some goals. I think that's probably a really good thing for me to do for each of these videos, is just make a series of goals. So in no particular order. So first one is going to be configure IPv6 IGP, because I think that's going to be important. The second one is configure authentication for OSPF, and then configure authentication for ISIS, and then T-shoot mismatched passwords, T-shoot incomplete configurations. So I'm sure I'll be doing those without intending to do them, but yeah, these are my goals. I like that idea of having goals for each of the section. And since this is configuration and troubleshooting, those are going to be my goals, configuration and troubleshooting. Okay, so let's update the tags for this video. Yep, and then I think IPv6 is another one. Maybe authentication. Well, actually, let's do this. Let's do network security. There you go. Okay, I think those are really good tags. So let's move on to the actual meat and potatoes. Oops. God, I wish I could have my tabs. I wish I could do so many things on a computer. The computer doesn't do the things I want it to do. It's because I'm using Windows. Yeah, thinking about switching to Linux. Been thinking about it for a while. All right. Anyways, yeah, it just frustrates me when I have things on screen 1 and then they randomly pop up on screen 2 when I'm recording a video. It frustrates me to no end, but that is okay because we're going to keep focusing on this. So, oh yeah. So right now it's configured for ISIS. So let's change it to be configured for OSPF and to have authentication set up across all of the links. And then when we're done with that, let's set up mismatched passwords with trace options files. See if that'll pop up in there. And then let's delete some configuration from that. Okay, and see how it affects it. So I'm going to open up the Ubuntu Docker guest, and hopefully I won't have the classic bug. I have a feeling I might, but I can just re-download everything. And I still haven't figured out why I can't get a DHCP IP address from ETH1. Okay, so yeah, so I can just configure it though, there's no problem. I can also use guest-2 to configure things, but let's see if I can just use ETH1. Oops, so it's not going to be network, it's going to be route. There we go. So, yep, it's going to be this one. Perfect. So we can connect to all of them. So let's see how we can configure the device without losing access. So let's SSH into router 4. Okay, so I know if I delete my IGP, then my server won't be able to learn of this IP address. So I can't configure it by logging into router 4 if I want to be remotely. What I'm going to need to do is log into a different device like router 3 where I won't be losing that source, that ability to connect to router 4. So from here, I can do ping 172.16.0.4. You can see I can ping there, but even that's not going to be enough because that is advertised through ISIS. So what I need to do is a show int descriptions and then show route interface or show route pipe match GE001. Okay, so now I can see that I've got a bunch of routes, but the next hop for those routes that goes to router 4 is this address. So if I do a show route on that address, you can see that's a directly connected subnet via that interface. I guess I'm surprised it's not showing me. I'm kind of surprised I'm not getting, oh yeah, here's the local. Okay, so it just didn't, oh, because I did the /30. Or no. Because I did the .2. Or, well, yeah, I'm just surprised that I didn't get this in the output, but whatever, that's good to know. All I need to know is the IP address of the interface on router 4, because that's a directly connected, you can see right here, proof is in the pudding. It's a direct route on router 3. So if I disable ISIS on router 4, but I'm connected through this source IP address, I'll still be able to connect to router 4. So let's try that. So I can ping to router 4 there. Let's do a source 5.1, okay. Now let's do a SSH. Oops, I probably need to use the root account. Yeah, I'm going to need to use the root account for SSH. There's no issue with that. Oops, but it looks like there is some kind of issue. Okay, well, let's log into router 4 and see what the issue is. So I can just go exit. Now I can go into router 4. I can do show configuration, system login. Oops. There we go. Aha. So, well, actually, let's take a look at the configuration for root authentication. So I do have a password for root authentication. Unfortunately, it is not allowing me to SSH using the root authentication password. I think you do need a separate user account for SSH, so let's create one. Now we can't use a radius password because when I disable ISIS, the radius server will no longer be able to reach router 4 momentarily until I fix the IGP. But what we can do is set up just a regular user account. So let's do edit system login, set user router 3, or how about via router 3? Yep. And then class super user. And then we'll do authentication, and we'll just do a plain text password, good old fashioned clouds. Okay, so now we'll have the ability to get in through router 3, and you'll see that I can change around the IGP, all that sort of stuff without losing access. Oops. Oh, there we go. Okay, so SSH, and then it's going to be via router 3, and then it's going to be the interface address, okay, with a source address. And if I don't specify that source address, I'll need to rely on the routing table on router 4 because my packet, my SSH packet, will come in with a source address of perhaps something different from this. It actually probably would be this because of the selection rules, but if it weren't that, it would need to reference the routing table, as it of course would if it were this, but it wouldn't see the route as a direct route, it would see it as a ISIS route delivered via router 3. So after I disable ISIS, it is possible that I could lose access if I don't specify the appropriate source address. Okay, so I'm in. So as a final proof of concept, I will delete ISIS, and then I'll need to take a quick break. So I can just straight up delete everything under here, no problem. Yes. So normally this would be fatal. I would lose my access. I wouldn't be able to get back in. But you can see I am just fine hunky-dory because the way I am connecting to this device relies on a directly connected route and not a ISIS route. So as the final thing I'll do before I take my short break, I'll do a show route, and yep, I no longer have any ISIS. I no longer have any routes learned via ISIS. I only have local and direct routes. But I still have access to the device because of the source address I am using. All right, so I got to take a 5-minute break. I'll be back. All right, I am back. I've got another 15 minutes. So we saw how I could completely change the entire routing table on router 4, but not lose access to router 4 because I am using a direct route for my source address for the SSH connection. All right, so let's set this up for OSPF. Okay, so I'm going to do a top, delete interfaces, so that's a little bit easier to apply to the other interfaces. Unit 0, family ISO. Okay, and then I'll do that for all of the interfaces. I can leave them on, it's no big deal, but I want to have a more clean and clear OSPF configuration. Okay, so now we truly have proof that there's no OSPF on here at all, and I've still got access because we don't even have a ISO address on the loopback anymore. So OSPF is, or sorry, not OSPF, ISIS is completely disabled now. So let's configure OSPF. Oops, I gotta do area. Okay, so now we've got OSPF running. I'm not going to have any changes to my table yet because there's no, well, actually, that's not true. I am going to have one change to my table, and that's I'm going to have a multicast address added to it, 244.0.0.5/32. And this is what's going to be used to establish OSPF neighbors. But until I do that, I won't have any other addresses added attributed to OSPF besides that one. Yep, so this is going to fill up with information. So I'm going to need to use the same strategy now and use a launching point for another router. So let's configure router 3 now. So we're going to need to use a launching point from router 1. Yep, and then we'll be able to use router 1 again to get into router 2. But let's go into router 1 and then log into router 3. Okay, so we've got the same issues where the root authentication password cannot be used for an SSH account. You have to set up a separate user under edit system login. You have to have a user under there in order to log into SSH. You can't just use the root account. But luckily for us, that is pretty easy to set up. Another thing I can do is take away that account from before. Oh, but if I do that, but that's actually going to be a bad thing because if I do that, I won't be able to get back in. So I'm definitely going to leave that up there. But I'm going to add a new account to router 3. So set system login user. Via router 1. Okay, so now we're going to do class because that's always required. I'm going to make it a super user. And then we'll do authentication, plain text password, good old-fashioned clouds, It's the default password for Junosphere, which no longer exists. All right, but I have used Junosphere somewhat extensively in the past. I definitely prefer GNS3, but I don't have to have a loud server blaring in my living room when I use Junosphere, so it does have its advantages, that's for sure. But GNS3 running on a server, if you can handle the noise, if you got a place, I can't hear it at all in this room. And then in the other room, it's not even that distracting, I don't think. But I do think this is the best way to go, even over viral, because $200 a month, that's ridiculous. Okay, so let's see here. So I'll do a show or show configuration or show system rollback compare 1.0. See what I just did. So what I just did is added this via R1 account. So let's go and use that via R1. Okay, so SSH via R1 at 0.3. Oops, but I will need to specify the source address, or else it might use the wrong one. So I got to do a show in descriptions, like match R3. Okay, and now I can see that it's connected to it through this interface. So I can do show configuration interfaces. Okay, and now I've got the source address that I'm going to need to use. Perfect. Oops, and the other thing I'm forgetting is I can't connect to this address because this is no longer going to be advertised through ISIS. In fact, let's take a look at how I've got this address. So show route. Yep, I'm learning it through ISIS. So obviously, if I disable it through ISIS, I won't be able to connect to that. So one thing I think I might like to do is just show what happens when you lose connectivity to a box, because I'll be able to get back in if I go to the appropriate address. So this isn't going to lose my connection permanently, but this will kind of be a good thing to see for anyone watching, because anyone who's watching who wants to get into this field, who has been in this field, will recognize these oh crap moments where, oh no, I lost connectivity to the box. So let's take a look at how that might appear. Okay, so there's so let's do edit protocols ISIS. Now let's do delete. So pop quiz, 1, 2, 3. Well, I gotta ask the question before I do the countdown. But the question is, will I lose access now? 3, 2, 1. And the answer is no, of course not, because this is the candidate configuration. It doesn't go into effect until you hit and apply. So another thing I could do is a commit confirmed 3 if I were in via configure exclusive. Unfortunately, now I'm not. I'm in configure private. And then you save yourself of those oh crap moments, because you know in 3 minutes it'll revert whatever you did and you'll be able to get back again the same way you got back. So actually one thing I think I am going to do is demonstrate that and show just how useful that can be. So I'm going to do configure exclusive. Okay, and then I'm going to do delete protocols ISIS. Okay, and now show pipe compare. Perfect, and now commit confirmed for what's the lowest I can do. So I can do 1 minute. So let's do 1 minute. Okay. So now it's actually putting the configuration into the running config. And I didn't lose access. Why didn't I lose access? Okay, that's interesting. I did not lose access. Let's do a run show route. So, so it looks like I still have, so I think it's because of the, that's interesting. I thought I would have lost access. Well, let's figure out why I didn't lose access. Oh, it looks like I lost access now. Yep, so I no longer, it took a while for some reason. That's strange. I don't know why it didn't happen just right away. But yep, I lost access, everything's frozen, oh crap, you know, oh no, that sort of thing happened now. So let's go back into the Ubuntu Docker guest. Oops, and it's still completely frozen. Here we go, but now it is automatically rolling that back so that oh crap moment is reverted after a minute. And if your department requires you to fill out some sort of outage report or something like that, you can put down 1 minute instead of 1 hour or 1 day or anything like that. So I'm back. That oh crap moment is completely gone. And on my outage report, I get to just put down 1 minute. So definitely really good habit to be able to use that. I even think it's worth locking out your coworkers or bots because you can drop in config and commit confirmed it really fast. So it's not like you've got to spend all day and commit confirmed. You can even go into commit. You can even go into private mode to do certain things, and then once you're ready to commit, you can exit out of configure private, take all the changes you wanted, like Notepad or something, go into configure exclusive, paste them all in, and then do a commit confirm there, because we could see just how valuable that commit confirm was. Okay, but let's log into the box in a way where we're not going to have that issue. Okay, so if I use a different destination IP address, and we'll see that's the reason for that is because of my routing table. The route I was using was learned by ISIS, and we're going to disable ISIS. But this is going to be learned through a directly connected route. We can see that right here. Okay, so now we're back into router 3 via router 1, and we can make that same change, but we don't need to worry about it having issues. And in fact, we can even use rollback 1 now, because the last rollback would have been rolling back that change from before. So I can do a show pipe compare and see that I'd be stripping away all of the ISIS config, but that oh crap moment of losing access is no longer going to happen because of the source IP address that I'm using. So you can see, yep, I still got access. So let's go even further and clear it off of the interfaces. Perfect. Oops. All right, so 2 and then LO0. All right, so yeah, everything's good. Let's do a show pipe compare on that. Yep, so now that ISO address is going to be removed at all, so if there are any doubts at all that ISIS was not fully disabled, those doubts are now alleviated. And you can see I've still got access. So yep, that's commit confirmed 1. So it's kind of an issue with that though that I'm thinking now, because we saw that it took a little bit of time for it to lose access. I was able to hit the enter key a bunch of times and I still had access for a little bit. And the reason for that, now that I think about it, is perhaps that even though I disabled ISIS, the routing table did not yet update. So for a few seconds after ISIS was disabled, you could still use ISIS. So I could still issue another 1 or 2 commands, even though my legs would soon be cut off within a matter of seconds. So that kind of is interesting because I could see somebody getting in the habit of doing configure exclusive and then doing commit confirm 3 and then commit right away without giving it extra time, an extra 10 seconds. So that would cause it to commit that config with your last dying configuration that you sent out when that routing table hasn't completely rewritten itself yet. You would go ahead and permanently lock yourself out. So I think if you're going to use configure exclusive and then commit confirmed, I would recommend hitting enter probably 10 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 before doing the final commit. Because if you just do commit confirm, the commit without any break or pause in between it, that commit might go through, even though seconds later, after the routing table was rewritten, you would lose access temporarily with your commit confirmed. But now you're going to lose access permanently since you were able to sneak that last commit in there before those changes. So I hope this has been really helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.